Hi folks, the Filipina P here. About a year ago, I made a video on the cohabitation laws here in the Philippines, showing you how to protect your assets in case the woman you're living with decides she wants to go nuclear and claim as much of your stuff as she can. There was a rumor going around at that time that if you just let a Filipina sleep over for one night, she can suddenly sue you for half your assets. Since I'm still getting comments from you guys who are convinced that living with a Filipina is risky business, let's clear the air and set the record straight. What can a vengeful or insanely jealous ex actually do to you from a legal standpoint? Can she keep you from leaving the country? Can she take your pension, your bank account? If she can claim that you have a common law marriage because you've been living together as man and wife, what does that actually mean in the eyes of the law? Well, today, I've got my friend and attorney, Gracelyn Bellingan-Bennett, to explain the actual risks of cohabiting with a Filipina. Are there things to worry about? Yes, but they might not be the things you were aware of. Hi, Gracey. Good morning. It's nice to have you back on my channel. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Pete. Thank you for having me back again here. It's nice to see you.
Right. So, what's new with you?
Well, other than new clients, nothing new. And other than my hair getting longer, as your hair, I'm seeing that's really, really nice right now. It's very, very long too.
Yeah. All right. So, Gracie, I know we've discussed this topic about a year ago, but I'm still getting a lot of comments from my new viewers and old viewers saying that, oh my gosh, a Filipino would take everything I have or 50% of what I have because I let her stay with me for a night. So, today we're going to be talking about it again, and let's straighten this up so that they can get more clarification on what the cohabitation law is all about here in the Philippines. So, Gracie, if a guy meets a Filipina and invites her back to his place for, I don't know, let's say for the weekend, is he at risk in any way of her claiming his assets?
Well, definitely in that case, no. Because that doesn't count as living together like husband and wife.
Okay.
There's no way you can determine within a weekend or even a week to say that they're living together as husband and wife. That's not the parameter we see under our laws.
Okay, even though they're doing what mamas and daddies do during the weekend?
No, that's not the only parameter of being considered as living exclusively as husband and wife. There are other things that a husband and wife does, not really on those things alone.
Good. Okay, so we got that out of the way. No, she can't go grabbing your stuff because you let her stay for the weekend. Or what about if she stays for a week or a month or maybe a year?
Again, those short period of time, it's very difficult to prove to say that they are living exclusively as husband and wife. Well, in our laws, there's no specific duration as to when you're considered living together as husband and wife. But for other provisions that's found in our law, let's say for purposes of securing a marriage license, they see cohabitation, or the parameter for determining there is cohabitation is living together at least 5 years. Sometimes that is used as a factor or a determining duration that determines whether there is indeed cohabitation. For the provisions regarding cohabitations under our law will govern the relationship.
Okay, so there's no specific time frame to be considered that you're cohabiting except for the 5 years that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because what really determines or what is considered by the court in determining whether there is cohabitation is what is stipulated in Article 147. So, to reiterate what's in 147, it says there, let me just go over my notes here. It says there that first, the parties are capacitated to marry each other. There is no legal impediment to marry each other, okay? And second, they live exclusively with each other as husband and wife. And this can be proven by several circumstances that would prove that they are indeed living together as husband and wife. And Third would be they live without the benefit of marriage. So they just live together without getting into marriage because they want so. So those are the explicit parameters the the laws have provided in order to determine there is cohabitation in the relationship.
Okay, so what about if they're just living together as boyfriend and girlfriend? Does that mean they're cohabiting?
That is not what the courts or our laws construed as cohabitation. Because if you're just living as boyfriend and girlfriend, there's no intention to live as husband and wife, then no. Because in husband and wife relationship, it's way different than a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, right? There's there's more commitment on a husband and wife relationship rather than a boyfriend girlfriend relationship.
Okay, how can they measure the commitment if they're living together, as girlfriend and boyfriend? So what else is there
Very
to
good.
be?
Yeah, very good question, P. So, well, if you look at other provisions in our family code on how a husband and wife would live together, there is fidelity, there is commitment, there is responsibility to take care of the family, there is future planning on what they want to have in the future, and there is acquisition of properties for their future plans, for their future family, or having children on their own. So those kinds of things or more that will prove that they are indeed living as a family, as a husband and as a wife, and perhaps having their children. So that's how the court would determine if indeed they are living together exclusively as husband and wife and not just merely girlfriend boyfriend.
But what if that's the case during their boyfriend and girlfriend phase? What if they're doing the same thing?
It has to be proven clearly that they are living together as exclusively living together as husband and wife. Because usually how these things gets to court, it's because one party is claiming ownership of a certain property acquired during cohabitation.
Well, I guess the best way is to just don't acquire properties.
Yeah, that's one of the advice
sure
later on. Yeah, I'm providing to my clients and to your viewers. That's going to be one of the pieces of advice that I'm going to provide.
All right, so a different scenario then. Okay, so a foreigner is living with a Filipina for 2 years here in the Philippines. The foreigner bought a condo unit from his money, what he earned, from his job for the last 50 years. So does the Filipina have any claims with the condo?
Here's the things that the court will consider. First of all, who is the titled owner of the property? If it's the foreigner, then the presumption is the foreigner is the one who owns or acquired it through his own fund. Second, what did the Filipina do, or what effort did the Filipina have done in acquiring the property? If
spreading her legs. Cut.
First of all, you have to put it in the name of the foreigner so that it will be very difficult for the Filipina to prove that she also has to have portion or be entitled to a portion of the ownership, because the foreigner has proof that he owns the property. Then of course the presumption of co-ownership does not exist. Filipina can only claim a portion if she's even able to prove that her effort as her contribution in acquiring the property. So, and another big investment probably would be a car. But again, in a car, it goes by ownership. So foreigner can have title over a car, right? So it's best that the foreigner who bought the car should put the car in his name. Otherwise, if it's in the Filipino's name, it's the foreigner's obligation or duty to prove that he used his funds to acquire that car. So it's going to be difficult if that would be the case. So what other investment that could be claimed by a Filipina and prejudicial to the foreigner?
Nothing much. What about his pension, his 401k?
Under the provision, it mentions their salaries and wages. So pension is not construed as salaries and wages.
Okay, so I don't understand what the hype is all about. So if you're established, you have your own place, you have your own car before meeting this woman, so she has no claim.
Yes, that's what I'm telling my clients, that there's no reason to go wild on this provision of cohabitation, because it's not like in the West, wherein you are treated as a husband and wife on all legal perspective. In the Philippines, it's different. It's only for non-married individuals. It's only for properties acquired during cohabitation. It does not include properties prior to cohabitation.
Okay, so everything that they own before meeting this woman or women, they have no claim. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. Yeah. But let's say, but for income that they generate during the cohabitation, that definitely is included in what the woman can claim if she invoked the Article 147.
Anything that you acquire together, any monetary or any wages, salary, or maybe you guys started the YouTube channel together, I think that's how you can get a portion of the income during the cohabitation law, as long as you've lived together for at least 5 years. So yeah, if you're just trying to scam a guy, you have to be willing to do that for at least 5 years. And I don't think scammers are that patient.
No, that's why there's not much cases, or not, I have not come across with these kinds of cases with Filipino foreigner relationship, because first of all, not all relationship of foreigner Filipina would last for 5 years, and yet they are not yet married. I mean, who do you know unmarried Filipina foreigner relationship that are not married after 3 years or even 4 years?
Right.
Most of the foreigner would marry their Filipina after a month, which is, I think, is really absurd.
Yeah, it's lucky if it's after a month. Some people marrying each other without even seeing each other in person. That is cuckoo in my opinion.
I agree. I totally agree. But even in those instances where they've lived for quite some time, let's say one of the situations I've encountered so far was Filipino foreign relationship who have been together for 3 years on and off relationship, and finally they totally had enough for each other, and some of the properties, the car, the motorcycle, was all acquired by the foreigner, but unfortunately was registered under the name of the Filipina. They didn't go to court, but yeah, they didn't go to court. So what they did is just Filipina got all those vehicles, and the foreigner got so angry. But what can he do? Rather than go after the Filipina for those things, he decided not to push through and just move on.
What if the foreigner helps a Filipina start her own business, like a very successful sari-sari store, and after a few years, more than 5 years, let's say they split up, and can the Filipina claim, oh, I own that fridge because I bought it from the sari-sari store funds, I'm earning. So also the big television in our bedroom. So can she get more legitimate claims because she owns a business, and it looks like it backfired at the foreigner for helping her to start her own business? So what would happen?
Okay, the general rule on that one is properties acquired during the time they live together is presumed to be acquired jointly. So they're presumed to own it 50-50. However, whoever has the proof to show that he or she acquired the property, in that case, if the Filipina is able to show proof of the receipt under her name, then that the ownership of the property belongs to her. However, nonetheless, the foreigner can say that he provided effort. Let's say he took care of the Filipina. He provided food on the table for the Filipina. Then his effort can be construed as his share or contribution in acquiring that property. So again, it goes back to the 50-50 ownership.
Gracey, what if it was a nasty breakup and the Filipina knows that she has a weak case, but out of spite, she wants to launch a lawsuit against the foreigner? So can the foreigner leave the country, or you know how tedious it is to file a lawsuit here in the Philippines. It takes years. Can he be stuck here because of that lawsuit?
Well, for this kind of case, which is a civil case, nobody can be held in the Philippines and be prevented from departing or constrained in his or her liberty to go elsewhere. It's not like a criminal case wherein you can be held up here in the Philippines. Not a civil case. They're free to go. So that's why usually nobody will file a scrupulous case just to get back to the foreigner, because first of all, most of the assets of the foreigners are outside the country, which is outside the jurisdiction of our courts. And second, what if the foreigner is already out of the country? The Filipina doesn't have any hold over the foreigner. So it's going to be a useless endeavor for her. Rather than spend more time, more money, and all the effort in pursuing the case, the best decision is just to move on. And that's what Filipina would usually do here.
Okay, so as long as it's not a criminal case, anyone can leave the country, so they're not gonna be stuck here. Like,
Correct.
you know. So what about this scenario, Gracey? What if the foreigner and the Filipina were living together for more than 5 years, and the foreigner bought a condo during the cohabitation period, and they broke up, and the Filipina is now trying to claim a portion of the condo? So can the foreigner sell the condo right away and then leave the country if if he knows that the Filipina is trying to claim something out of the proceeds of the condo or part of the condo?
So if there is a case for the Filipina, or if later on the Filipina would be entitled to the condo, well, the foreigner can always sell it prior to an attachment or a writ of attachment on the title of the condominium. Because whoever buys the property without knowing the circumstances of its ownership, only on the title and what the foreigner is claiming that he is the only owner of the property, the buyer will be considered as buyer in good faith, and he will have a clean title over the condo if he buys the condo. So that's what usually happens. So prior to the court ordering for a writ of attachment on the property, the foreigner or the owner of the condo have already sold it to the next buyer or to the next owner. So that's why, because in court, things doesn't go automatic. Like, it's not that when you file a case today, you can easily get a writ of attachment next week or even next month. We've done writ of attachment on properties, and it even takes sometimes a year or several months, and before the writ is issued, the property is long gone, and there's no recourse other than going after the owner or the original owner who sold the property, which if the owner is already outside the jurisdiction of our courts, unfortunately, that's a thank you for our client.
Okay, so the Filipina can't do anything about it.
Yes.
To wrap up things, it is safe to live with a Filipina as long as it's below 5 years. She can't claim your condo, your cars, and the best thing to do is do not buy properties during the cohabitation period, and keep everything under your name. Right, Gracey? Keep the receipts.
Yes, exactly. And even if you cohabit for more than 5 years, make sure that you're not gonna be investing on things that you're not willing to lose, or at least maximum 50% of those things you are not willing to lose, because it's quite difficult later on if you've lived together for at least 5 years.
So it's okay to invite over a Filipina for a month, for a year, for 3 years, because they can't do anything with your pensions, your 401k, your stocks, your bonds, everything, because those assets are in your home country anyway. We don't have jurisdiction to go over your assets back home. So basically, if you're just living modestly here, if you have everything settled in before you even have a Filipina with you, so nothing to worry about. I don't know where they're getting this information that the moment the Filipina sleeps with you, she's entitled to up to 50% of your asset. Come on, guys, talk to a lawyer. Don't listen to random people. because they don't know what they're saying, and obviously they don't know how the law works. And obviously, even if, let's say, the worst case scenario, you've lived together for 8 years, you've bought together properties and cars and whatnot, she has to prove that she has a claim over those properties.
Correct. Yeah. And to reiterate what you've said, P, properties of the foreigner owned prior to the cohabitation is safe. Those properties are perfectly safe. What will be covered during the cohabitation are those generated during the cohabitation relationship or acquired thereon. So those are the things that will be, may be claimed by the Filipina if she's able to provide the circumstances or the way of evidence required of her to prove her case.
Okay, so Gracey, what is the difference between cohabiting and a common law spouse?
When two people are cohabiting or in cohabitation, it's what usually we construed as common law marriages. So they're common law spouses. But it's not a legal term per se in the Philippines that is similarly construed in the US, wherein the common law spouses have more or less the same rights as married couples. In the Philippines, it's definitely not the same rights. And the only provision that has something to do with common law marriages is only with respect to Article 147 and Article 148, which we talked about earlier regarding the effects of the properties in a cohabitation. That's the only provision with respect to common law spouses.
Yeah, because in the US, if you're living together for, I'm not sure, maybe 7 or 8 years, it's like you're good as married. So there's no merit of getting married because you've been living together for so long. So you get the benefits of being a married person without signing the marriage certificate. So it's not the same thing here, right? It's not
definitely not the same thing in the Philippines. So no matter how long you've been living together, you don't get the same rights and privileges and obligations as husband and wife in a married relationship. In case of termination of your cohabitation, the spouse doesn't get spousal support, unlike when you're married. The children doesn't get the same exact child support they are entitled to compared to married individuals. Yeah, a lot of differences when we speak of common law spouses and married spouses.
Okay, I heard about this law. Socioeconomic abuse. Let's say you met this Filipina in the department store and she's earning, the minimum wage, and you wanted to be with her all the time. So you said, okay, I'll pay for your, how much you're making every month, and you can stay at home and be with me. So what if the relationship doesn't last and she already resigned? She has no job. You left her. So what would happen to the Filipina? Can she claim like I've been economically abused?
Actually, the Filipina can use another law on that one, which is a criminal law, which is the 9262, violence against women and their children. If the Filipina has proven that in the relationship, she has become very dependent her partner during the relationship, and all of a sudden she's lost everything, she has lost all the support, even if they're not married, but they live together as exclusively as husband and wife, this provision of our law can be invoked by the Filipina. So that is why it's really important not to, first of all, prohibit your Filipina from working. Second, making her so dependent on you that you restrict her from other opportunities that she might be making in order for having herself dependent enough when you have no intention of being together for longer period that you expect it to be. So those are the things that you have to consider also, especially if you are not married.
What about she doesn't have a job, she's just staying at home? So here comes the foreigner providing everything for her. Now they've broken up. Can she still say, now my life is different. You made me get used to having a comfortable life, and now you're leaving me.
Well,
So
that's a different thing. Because if they started in a relationship, she has nothing, so she has nothing to lose as well. And well, in the foreigner's case, the defense of the foreigner on that one, if the Filipina would invoke that you made me dependent on you, is that in the first place, you have nothing. You didn't contribute to anything in on the table. I got you with no employment. I didn't prohibit you from engaging into any employment you wish to have. It's your option. It was your decision not to have a job and to rely on me. So that's a very good defense on the side of the foreigner. So he won't be liable under 9262 in that case.
what if she's a devious Filipina, Gracey? What if she claims that I wanted to work, but he wants me to stop working because he just wants me to stay in the house, maybe, wearing costumes all day. So,
P, remember that in going to court, whoever claims something has to prove it. It's not enough that you claim something and the court will rely on that one. No, that's not how it works in court. If the Filipina claims that he was prevented, then there has to be other witnesses to prove that one, or circumstances that would show that she was indeed prevented from getting an employment. Let's say if the Filipina was able to prove on her email that she was accepted in a certain position, and then she had to decline because she was not allowed to do so by her partner, and any documentary things that will prove the court that there was indeed prohibition on her part to be employed, then yes, she can claim dependency for the foreigner to be liable under 9262.
what if the situation were true? He prohibits her from getting a job, and the woman, the Filipina, can prove it. So what would be the fines or
the consequences of that one? Yeah. If the Filipina files a case for 9262 and she was able to prove economic abuse, the penalty would be imprisonment.
Are you saying if a Filipina can prove to the court that her partner, whether it be a foreigner or a Filipino, prohibits her from getting a job, that guy can end up in jail?
Yes, P.
Now I'd like to take this time to clear something up. I did a video on the transsexual scene here in the Philippines. For some odd reason, I got quite a few questions asking if that means I'm transsexual myself. But oh well, I'm about to put the stupid questions to rest. And I have a person here tonight with impeccable credentials and honesty. I've asked Gracey to perform an examination and report her findings right here, right now. Whenever you're ready, Gracey.
Okay, let's have a look. What the heck? Oh no! Oh. What's this? Oh. Oh my God! We're gonna need a bigger boat. By the way, 100% female.
See? I told you. Just one last thing before you go. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your bartender, listening to your comments and questions, giving you advice when I can, and brewing up some intoxicating content for your enjoyment. The only thing I ask in return is a small tip in the form of a thumbs up on this video, subscribing to my channel, sharing this video with friends, and hitting the notification bell so you know when your next round has been poured. I promise, it'll only take 10 seconds to do, and your tip will make my day. You wouldn't want to shaft your bartender, would you? And for last call, why not enjoy some of my other videos too? See you real soon!